Hello, today is July 1st, 2015. I'm Jeff Tennant. I had a few calls yesterday. One was I expected a gap outside of the day's range, most likely over these highs, and that happened. I wanted to see 2082 print. That was the high on the nose. But I also wanted to see a retracement back to 2061.49, and we never came too close to that. So we have a failed target, which should print it sometime. I'm going to rely on the rule that says if one of my predictions isn't going to pan out, there's usually a large gap in the other direction, and the impending failure is typically clear from the open. During the day, mejt said this rally would retrace. It was false. Said this drop was false, and that retraced too. We don't have any new signals from the system. We're still waiting for this 2061.49. So we are forced to rely on other things. We have a pattern that typically closes near the day's low. That's positive unless we have a gap under the low. We have a gap up and a strong move at the open, but the close was under it. That's usually weak unless we have a gap over the high. We have a drop due to news from Greece, which is supposed to be retraced in its entirety. We have a rally due to news from Greece, which is supposed to be reversed in its entirety. So we have a number of conflicting signals. Typically when that happens, the commonest thing is we have a gap outside of today's range. Next most common is we close little change and have the move on Monday. Well, I can't be certain of this, but I think the odds favor a gap. If you look, we have gapped up 2 days straight and don't have all that much to show for it. We haven't been able to close over this high, let alone this high, which is the important one. Also, if you take a Fibonacci grid from this high to that low, you'll see how we topped out right at the 61.8% level. We have a low at 38.2 and we closed at 50. So instead of reversing this promptly, we're having an overlapping rally. And we're just playing Fibonacci ping pong at the typical retracement levels. I still think this is a pretty weak pattern. I think the picture is going to be clear at the open. I think the most likely thing is a gap outside of the day's range down. This is a wall. This is a hole in the wall gap. Typically when that happens by tomorrow or at the latest early Monday, we go under this low, we fill the gap, go under the low and find support. And I think that's the most likely occurrence for tomorrow. And that is today's call.